Scarface was a gangster, but that shit was fiction. My nigga Charles Cosby, that nigga's a living legend. That nigga's the real Scarface nigga. That nigga was putting it down.
I'm the Godfather, head honcho. Married to the game like Griselda Blanco. 50 keys in the closet of my condo. Bulletproof vest on my chest like the honcho. Incredible. I clap like a encore. For the right price, I'll turn you to a John Doe. Went from a Bronco to the Bentley keys. And to think it all started off with 50 keys. Cocaine Cowboys too. I'm in the bigger things. Cocaine Cowboys too. I'm on the biggest screen. Like to keep my pistols clean. Wipe them off with Listerine. Posted in the kitchen like Mr. Clean. Got the hottest chick in the game, wearing a chain. I got the hottest chick in the game, plugging the cane. A Cali cannibal artist like Michelangelo. I can quit now and go right for Maya Angelou. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million more. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million more. I am the real Scarface, the real Scarface. I am the real Scarface, the real Scarface. I am the real Scarface, the real Scarface. Yeah, how you living? I'm a cocaine cowboy.
We're actually going to Brookfield Village. This is where I resided from the age of 8 months old. That's where Oakland starts on 98th, and that's also where Brookfield is, 98th Avenue.
The middle class in Oakland lives mainly in the hills overlooking the city. The poor, mostly Negroes, live in the city.
Brookfield was a relatively safe community where neighbors watched out for neighbors, a close-knit community of about 5,000 residents. Everyone knew one another on a first-name basis, low crime rate, many black-owned businesses. So basically it was a very thriving community financially. This is where it all started for me. This is home. I'm the youngest of 4 children. We were an idyllic family. My father, from what I've been told, he was a good family man up until that time, but he led a secret life. He led a double life. When it came out that my father was a homosexual, my mother happened to pick the phone up one evening while he had a telephone call. So she heard him speaking explicitly to another man on the phone, how he would suck his dick, you know, and how he's going to let him fuck him in his ass or whatever. So at that point forward, the marriage dissolved and so did our lives. I actually remember the night that my parents broke up. I was actually in my playpen. It was dark outside. I was 28 months old. My sister, I believe, was maybe 13 at the time. My brother, Lahore, was 11. My other brother was maybe 7 or 8. My father came home. Him and my mom had a verbal altercation, which turned physical. And I remember my father striking my mother in her face. I remember my mother falling, getting up. I remember my older siblings attacking my father physically. Next day, I remember my mother snatched me out of the playpen, and we ran across the street to one of the neighbors' house and took refuge there until the police came. The next morning, we were back at home, and I remember my father came there with his mother and his father, which were my grandparents, and he removed all his belongings. My mother, she turned to alcohol. She would drink her sorrows away. There were times when my mom even went to work drunk. My mother was an LVN at Samuel Merritt Hospital. She worked graveyard shifts, so, you know, that gave us a lot of time to be mischievous kids. I was just always out on the streets trying to find something to do. Since I was 7 years old, I've been on my own, you know. I'm doing all I can, like I say, to stay out of trouble, but it hasn't been easy, you know. From the age of 12 years old, I wanted to be a lawyer. I had read some law books back then. I basically wanted to practice law, criminal law, if no, for no other reason than the money that they made. But along the way, I got sidetracked. Well, once I hit the 12th grade, about the middle of my senior year, that's when crack cocaine really hit the Oakland streets.
In the alphabet of illegal drugs, few have become so popular, so potent, so addictive, so fast as what's known on the street as crack.
The cheapest, most potent, most addictive form of cocaine ever seen in this country.
And it has terrorized the city of Oakland, California.
Oakland, California is the place. Do you see drugs all in your face?
You had guys my age, 16 years old, 17 years old, had their own cars. Some had their own apartments. And, you know, this all was derived from income generated from crack cocaine, so.
In many places, the crack trade has transformed small-time hoodlums into big-time entrepreneurs.
Oh, my goodness, look at the money. What do you do for a living?
It's not uncommon to stop like a 14, 15-year-old kid, go into his pockets and pull out a couple $1,000s in cash.
Every teenager during that time in the city of Oakland wanted to become a drug dealer.
I'm not gonna work at no McDonald's for no minimum wage.
I want fast money. Fuck that slow shit. Slow shit ain't getting me paid. Why go get a 9-to-5 job and bust your ass for the next man? Gotta get up early in the morning or night shift.
You do all that work, by the end of the month, when you get your money, you know, it ain't enough to live off of. What can you do with a little bit of money?
Fuck this job. Why should go through the hassle when you just wake up, turn on your phone or turn on your pager back then, and once that motherfucker go off, you know it's more than 5 G's.
What kind of money can you make dealing with dope?
If you plan on doing it a full-time thing, sometimes $5,000 a day.
This was a bonanza that, you know, nobody frowned upon during that time. You know, a cocaine bonanza. Everybody was just excited to be able to generate some money.
Money, money, money.
The profits were staggering, up to $1 million a week.
Should we throw these ones away, man, since we got $500,000?
Well, I tell you what we can do. We can give it to the poor.
That's exactly what I say, too. We'll just donate those to the poor.
If money can be the difference as far as me being sad and happy, hey, I want as much money as I can get, you understand me? Of course, I aspired to become a drug dealer. I went from wanting to become a lawyer to becoming a criminal. Well, there's one particular guy I knew. His name was Banana. He was moving drugs, a few ounces here and there. So I approached him. I said, I want to become a part of this. Can you hook me up in some type of way? And, you know, I'll pay you back as quick as I can. He was like, cool, you know what I'm saying? You my nigga, so I'll hook you up and you just come and fuck with me from now on. The first ounce that I received on consignment from Banana, I actually didn't know what to do with it. Banana had to instruct me on how to properly transform powder cocaine into crack cocaine. It's basically an art form not everyone can do. Through practice, I would say I became the Michael Jordan of crack cookers. What you do, you get powdered cocaine and you put baking soda on the powdered cocaine. You put it in a glass coffee pot. You put water in the coffee pot. You put it on the stove, and in about 5 minutes or so, the powdered cocaine turns into a yellow gel-like liquid. From there, you remove it from the flame. You throw in a few ice cubes to reduce the heat. And at the same time, you constantly rotate the coffee pot in a counterclockwise motion. You throw in a few more ice cubes and you reduce the heat even further. By now, the rock is forming. You put it under the faucet. You add cold water to completely harden that rock. Once it's hardened, you take it out of the coffee pot, put it on a plate, and you take a large knife or a meat cleaver or what have you, and you break it down into $10 pieces, $20 pieces, into crack cocaine.
Crack has become America's drug of choice.
Crack. Everywhere you go, crack.
I'm beaming up to the Enterprise.
I mean, everything was just an open air drug market. You know, no pistols or none of that. You know, just selling rocks of cocaine. We were just kids out on the streets making money. This is the hydrant where the legend of Charles Cosby began. Right here on Grumley and St. Elmo. The very first spot that I ever sold crack from, which was 1984. I feel like a million years ago. I started making $300-400 a day, $500 a day. Depends how long I stayed on the corner. Once I turned the ounce of cocaine over, I had $4,000. I took Banana to $2,000 that I owed him, and I kept $2,000. So with that $2,000, I purchased my own ounce of cocaine from Banana. We're on 8th Street in Deep East Oakland. The apartment behind me, this was my first crack house. I opened in 1984. Just one of my customers wanted extra money and at the same time can get high for free. I just started giving her $40 a day to be able to sell drugs at her apartment. From this location, I opened additional crack houses. So in 6 months' time, I controlled 3 crack houses. So I started generating $1,000 every 2 days. And that's after 6 months of dealing. It was like going from a hot dog stand to open up a restaurant. I mean, everything was just smooth selling. I gotta get it while I can because there ain't no guarantee it's gonna be there tomorrow. You know, it's no guarantee that I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, but I'm gonna do all I can, you know what I'm saying, to survive. In the very beginning, there was really no violence, but about a year into it, you started hearing about the drive-by killings and the setups and the robberies and the murders.
Death in the Oakland streets, rival gangs involved in the drug trade shooting it out.